Many an age has come and gone since my eyes last drank in the glory of a Tolkien battlefield. Many of my most popular videos ever were forged in the fires of Third Age or Call of Warhammer, beginning of the end times, and it comes back to you now at the turn of the tide. Something stirs in the bowels of Middle-earth. A new era is on the horizon, and with it comes a new threat and a new mod for the ever-classic Medieval 2 Total War. Silmarillion Total War. A time of angels and demons, of the rise of elves and men, and the dark forces spewed forth from the mind of Melkor to oppose them. This is a 20,000-man scenario battle between the House of Feanor and the realm of Angbad, the ancient fortress of Melkor, who you might know as the first Dark Lord of Middle-earth. Morgoth, Melkor will probably use those interchangeably this battle. And to his side, all things evil flock, so even though this battle takes place in the First Age, at a time where the Maiar and Valar got much more hands-on in the conflicts that raged across the continent, many of these units should still feel familiar. This battlefield is Dor Caranthir, an eastern realm bequeathed to one of the sons of Feanor, and we've got a blend between an open field battle and a siege, should things start getting dicey and the defenders be forced to retreat deep into their fortress. There's a high chance of that. The House of Feanor is outnumbered almost 3-1, and there are Balrogs on the field, but what you should expect from them is a faction of uber-elite Noldoran elves, with a few companies of men from the House of Beor, who fled from Morgoth's influence in the east. You'll notice many of their units are tied directly to Feanor and his 7 sons, while the men, or Dane as they're known in Sindarin, are pretty easy to spot. Shield bearers, stalkers, and rangers make up their number. But yeah, the defenders want to win this one. It's going to be carried on the backs of the Elven elite, the mounted company of Celegorm, the Oathsworn of Maedhros, the defenders of Aglon, and the Knights of Maglor. They've arrayed their forces on the outskirts of the castle, going to use those palisades to prevent flanking attempts with a defense-in-depth approach at each of the main gatehouses. And you can expect to see a lot of early cav action here. The elves have some of the best mounted warriors in all of Middle-earth, amazing armor and equipment that completely outclasses the vast majority of Morgoth's forces. But as always, just like in Third Age or Divide and Conquer, the problem is numbers. Well, that and the monstrous Maiar and trolls that throw their lot in with the bad boys. They tend to hit a bit harder than your average rabble of mindless orcs. J-Monster is the mod creator. Big shout out to him for all the awesome work he's done thus far, and he is playing as the realm of Angbad, the Iron Prison, with almost 4,000 troops under his dark wings. The Valar Rakar, or as they are better known, the Balrogs. This foe is beyond any of you. Run. Twisted and corrupted by Morgoth, they served as his shock troopers and line breakers during the First Age, fiery spirits of rip and tear that are incredibly difficult to put down, as lumbering demons of fire and heat often are. These are the Troll Guard of Gothmog, the greatest Balrog to ever walk Middle-earth, the High Captain of Angbad, whose only equal was Sauron himself. Troll Guard aren't quite as powerful as Papa, but picture the charge of the Olog high at the gates of Minas Tirith, the Return of the King, and you'll get a pretty good idea of what they're capable of. They're scary. Almost 14,000 servants of Morgoth attacking Dor Caranthir today, split between 4 armies, so they are not playing around. You just saw the Bulldogs, their conglomeration of chieftains, lesser Maiar who possessed orc bodies and served as elite bodyguards or warlords, and finally, we have Tol-in-Gaurhoth, the Wizard's Tower, a haven for werewolves conquered by Sauron during the First Age and used as a staging ground for his assault on Beleriand. The makeup of their armies was never pen to paper, so J-Monster created some fan fiction using the Dark Tongue to forge a new enemy. They hail from the Witchfort, thralls of Sauron himself, possessed of an unhealthy obsession with fire. We'll talk more about them as the battle progresses. So the defenders obviously can't use their cav advantage inside the castle. They're going to get very aggressive and push it to the limit on the open plains. The Knights of Feanor are just head and shoulders above most of the Wolf Cavalry, so if they can eliminate those early, get rid of their mobility, they might just have the chance to cycle charge infantry into oblivion. And early cav action works a hell of a lot better in Medieval 2 than it does in Warhammer. Charges are more devastating, cav is tankier, and they can demolish entire units on the way in. So these Knights of Maglor or Maglor, a lot of these pronunciations I don't know how to do, so apologies if I get some of them wrong. I'm sure you guys will let me know, as you are so wont to do. They're just gonna go straight in, and you would say, oh my god, like there are trolls there's enemy war cavalry, this is gonna go horribly for them, it's gonna be a nightmare for the elves. But no, elves are uber elite, they have amazing stats, and I think some of them have multiple HP as well. So they're gonna go right in and immediately destroy a whole section of the Warg Cavalry. just eliminate an entire unit right off the charge. They lost a couple models there, but nothing too catastrophic, and their HP will start dropping in these drag-it-out fights. But if they can eliminate that cavalry, get rid of the wargs, then they should be able to cycle charge infantry, and that is by far one of the best ways to win in Medieval 2. If you have the cav advantage, it's just like Total War Attila, you're going to be in for a very good time as your heavy knights run roughshod over the enemy forces. So lots of cycle charging, but they got to be careful. Got to show some restraint. Controlled aggression is the watchword here. The cav's going to be useless inside, so you got to use it up. It's a resource you can't afford to hold on to for the late game, but you don't want to suicide them either. And they're taking fire javelins to the face, which is not going to make things any easier. Nice charge coming in from Secretariat, the finest horse on the planet this side of Shadowfax. Wretches of Angbad pinning the Elven Knights down, swarming them in a tide of trash, while the fire javelins immolate a few company of Celegorm on the way in. Wargs overlapping the charge. Beautiful one from the Requeni Magloro, and they're getting in there, and it's going to be a drag-it-out heavy cav fight, and the Elves should be able to take it until the infantry and the shock troopers make their way into melee. And that's when it's probably high time to get out of there. What I'd like to see is all this cav actually go north and gang up on J-Monster, who's on that northern part of the battlefield operating all by himself. He's in the green on the minimap up top, and you can see that he's pretty much isolated unto himself there. All they gotta do is get their knights together, and they can probably run him into the dirt, while the rest of these forces in the center kind of jerk their dicks and don't really do anything. So I think they're kind of focusing too much power in the center, where there are two armies fighting back to back. It would be probably a pretty good idea to go gang up on J-Monster and eliminate him early, but they're gonna stick it in. The situation is quickly becoming untenable. Two central Angbad armies have already united, and their forces together are forming a strong shield wall that even the top tier elite Elven Cav is going to have a real difficult time cracking. Even some of the Tol-in-Gaurhoth troops from the Witch Fort have made their way over from the eastern edge of the battlefield, and they're lending a hand as well with some mobs and some wolf cav. So even the mighty Knights of Feanor can't do much against all this reckless hate. Probably time for them to go elsewhere and link up with the rest of the heavy cav all the way in the north. Now, please do excuse the White Tree of Gondor banners. You're going to notice those as we go through. Some of the banners are just regular Medieval 2 stuff. Some of them are straight from 3rd Age. Those are obviously holdovers from the 3rd Age campaign. They will be replaced when the time comes with something more thematic. This mod is still in beta, and the campaign, the multiplayer, and the overall balance are still very much a work in progress. So if you see something you don't like, make sure to leave a comment nicely addressing it and see what the modders can do on that front. The mounted company of Celegorm making it into the rear of the Angbad armies, and here's where they could cause some serious havoc. There's a lot of trash back there. Cycle charging would eliminate quite a few of those. Now, to give you a little bit more backstory on the armies of Tol-in-Gaurhoth, the Werewolves Island, the Wizard's Tower, Sauron's vacation spot in the First Age, long before he took up shop in Barad-dûr or Dol Guldur, their faction was designed from the ground up by J-Monster. Pretty much fan fiction that tries to remain true to Tolkien's lore while still looking cool for Total War. Ashclaws are their lowest caste. Their clan name starts with an H. Not even gonna try and pronounce it. The Scarahai Wolfmen are the mid-tiers. The Blood Wolves of the G clan are the warrior elite. Again, don't know how to pronounce that word. And the Thrangshit clan are the top dogs, a unit of powerful warg cavalry with 2 HP. Thrangshik, not Thrangshit, by the way. Their mounted wargs have fire javelins, and their ash priests throw fire bombs. So yeah, like I said, unhealthy obsession with fire. They'll be assaulting the eastern edge of the stronghold when the time comes, while Angbad makes up the forces to their west and north. And they are throwing a few of their trash mobs into melee with the heavy cav now. And you can see that, yeah, the Knights of Feanor, at least on that side of the battlefield, have gotten pretty beat up. But the Valar Rakgard, the Balrogs of Morgoth, are leading their army on the northern side, and it's about to get nasty. In fact, they have a mangonel. It's raining fire from above and immolating quite a few of the men of Helivorn, and their ranks are pretty compact and tight, not going for loose formation, so they might be on the receiving end of some nasty napalm should this shelling continue. There are, I believe, 2 or 3 mangonels, and there are a few other fire-spewing monstrosities that we'll take a look at a little bit later in the battlefield. But yeah, those mangonels, man, it can do some serious damage to you. I'd say that probably killed at least a good 20-25 men of the West, and that's gonna hurt. I guess they're technically men of the East because Morgoth kicked them out of their home and hearth, but yeah, they're gonna be in for a world of pain when Morgoth's forces come in here. And it looks like this northern army that's defending the northern gate has a higher percentage of manly troops as opposed to the more elite-centric elves that are focused in the center and east. Ouch. More mangonel fire spewing forth and sending quite a few to the afterlife. And the big forces of Melkor are coming in now. The legions, the Ironshod legionaries, and quite a few of those Maiar, ready to charge home and see if they can break the spirit of man and elf. Hold the line, my friends, hold the line. And the real assault begins. Meow. Shield walls. Can they push back the tides of Melkor? Tol-in-Gaurhoth about to charge into melee on the eastern side. And oh my god. That is a lot of damage. Defenders of Aglon, heavy infantry, two-handed greatsword unit that can slice through elite troops of Melkor like a hot knife through butter. Well, they're not going to get to see melee because they're now burning. The smartest elf on the cinder. Second wave coming in now. Gonna slam home into the footmen of Amrus, and they're gonna hold for as long as they physically can, and they should be able to chop their way through quite a few of these Ironshod legionaries and the reinforcements that are coming in after. But what they should be really scared about are the Balrogs, of course. Those and the Troll Guard of Gothmog are going to be the most elite tier stuff they can field, not counting the firebomb throwers and a few of those other random stuff that we'll see a little bit later. But seriously, tell me this is not an epic sight. Elves in the front, skirmishers in the rear, 14,000 black-tongued Uruks and Orcs slamming home while the defenders desperately try to push them back. It's something that modern Total War games lack. It's kind of hard to put a finger on it, but it's that sheer sense of scale. This feels like a real fantasy battlefield. Numbers are obviously a huge part of that. I mean, there are 20,000 on the field right now, but the formations and physics of it too. It's something that Medieval 2 and its mods does incredibly well. It's kind of hard to put into words, but it's not just nostalgia. The game's far from perfect, obviously, but got a lot more to offer than just old-timey charm. And it's funny to tell you guys, the modding scene, primo. Mambo Italiano. Absolutely incredible what people have done with it over the years, and what people are still doing with it 15 years after launch. Now, into melee are the Troll Guard of Gothmog fighting it out with the Otorn Matimo, the Osworn of Maedhros, the uber-tier bodyguard unit named for the Osworn by Feanor and his 7 sons. And over on this flank are the Balrogs of Morgoth. And this is not going to be enough elves to stop their rampage. They need a lot more and maybe some overarching focus fire to bring down the beasts. The Oroloki, the fire drakes from the northern mountains, shooting into the ranges of Halavorn, messing them up pretty bad. So yeah, the orcs actually have quite a few Maiar and other scary creatures that can deal tremendous damage if given time to fire. And obviously, look, we get it. It's Medieval 2. They're not going to look as sexy as they will in Total War Warhammer. It's a janky-ass looking Hydra. I get it. There's only so much you can do. But if you played Call of Warhammer, you know that the jank is real, but it's fun and it's part of the charm. And yeah, they're going to do some serious damage to these defenders. They didn't kill all those, knocked down quite a few of their number. Didn't completely murder them, but I don't know, killed 8 or 10 models probably. And those Archers of Amrod, gonna be really important to kill that thing quickly before it's able to completely decimate the defenders and allow the forces of Melkor to push to the gate and get at that final capture plaza. The Oathsworn are kicking ass here in the center. They should be able to kill like just legions upon legion upon legion of orcs. They are uber tier bodyguard that are exceptionally good at what they do, which is slicing head and limb from their enemies. They have a powerful morale buffing ability that helps Feanor infantry continue to fight to give their cav more time to win the day, which is really how they win their battles, right? They get that anvil down, and then the elite tier cav comes in from the rear and just completely rolls over the enemy flanks. They can be upgraded to a massive 14 armor, currently the highest score in the game, so shades of the Smiths of Eregion that you'll see in 3rd Age, and have massive defensive stats and solid damage values overall. They're the real core of the staying power of a Feanor infantry line, and if you hadn't already figured it out, the red armor elven troops you see in this battle are the top tier for the House of Feanor. The Knights of Maglor are really starting to look pretty worn down, running over the wretches of Angbad, very low tier spear infantry unit, but there's only a handful of them left, and yeah, I'd say overall that early cav action might not have been worth it. Scorpion shot from the back hill arcing in, and that might do some serious damage to the blobs that are forming now. Balrogs have lost a few of their number. A few of the Maiar, the twisted, corrupted Maiar, have fallen, but there are many more still alive. The men of Helivorn are not having a good time, and Thargaleon? I don't know how to say that one. There's Helivorn and then Thargaleon. I don't know how to say either one of those, but they are starting to get severely beaten to hell at this point as well. And the fire troops, oh, what the hell was that? I didn't get any kills. That might be like some kind of flashbang effect from the Mangonel. I don't think the footmen of Amras have multiple HP, so if that functioned like a normal Mangonel, that would have killed a lot more. I would imagine that's got some kind of special like morale debuffing effect, but it hit flush directly into the flank, and if that had been a real catapult, it would have killed massive amounts of elves there. So they're lucky that he wasn't firing a normal shot, I guess. Over on this side, it looks like Secretariat is trying desperately to push through, but the men of Helivorn are holding firm for now. There are no elves in that choke point at all, I don't think. It looks like all men of the east, and they're doing a great job of pushing back the tides. But the elves, the elite tier defenders of Aglon, have retreated inside. These are the great swords, the shock troopers, one of the best in the House of Feanor, and they're retreating all the way back actually to that final capture point and maybe across that bridge. Another Scorpion bolt arcing forward. He has turned on the fire effect, so when that goes through, we'll kill quite a few. Yeah, I killed a bunch of Iron Shot Legionaries and Skirmishers in that shot, and not quite as good as your typical catapult in Medieval 2, but if you could get them positioned on a flank with these kind of numbers, we're talking some serious damage if its accuracy should continue. I think the defenders on the outside of the walls, though, are beginning to get real thinned out at this point. But that's where it's still relatively even, although, of course, the attackers do have an advantage. Another bolt shot. Ooh, that was 15 or 20 dead. Immolated, turning very crispy. Very crispy. Kentucky Fried Crispy. But yeah, they're going to win outside for sure. It's just a question of when the defenders decide to retreat inside the castle, and it's looking like they might be doing so now. Balrogs have continued to slice their way through these poor men. Oh my god, it's just getting so brutal, but only 2 or 3 of them left. Maiar have taken a beating for sure. The focus fire from the elven back line, pretty powerful. And they have some javelin troops from the men as well. And the javs might actually have more AP than the elven archers, but albeit much shorter range, of course. And those shock troopers, the defenders of Aglon, they were thinking about going back to the final capture point, have actually sallied out, and I'm wondering if they'll come to regret that. Not a bad idea to pull them all the way back across that bridge and force these attackers into a narrow choke point to funnel their defense. Yeah, the positioning from Celtic and King of Isengard Artorias at the edge of this village has really forced these Tol-in-Gaurhoth troops into a really precarious position where they have to go in against much higher tier troops than themselves, and their numbers count for nothing. It's Thermopylae all over again. The shield walls of the men and the elves are holding very strong. Defenders of Aglon actually looking like they might be retreating yet again. They can't figure out what he wants to do with them. Maybe got one charge and decided, okay, I'm done. J-Monster pushed through on this side relatively easily. I mean, I wouldn't say it was easy. He lost a ton of troops, and in fact, the Scorpion Bolt just took out quite a few more. But yeah, I guess with the Balrogs, it was too much, and Iron Shod Reavers running over the remnants of these defenders of Aglon. Only 2 remaining, the captain and his apprentice, and they're beating feet out of here. They want none of that action. They're done. Yeah, J-Monster is actually looking really, really thin. And considering that the House of Feanor has pulled some of their defenders back inside and now sallying forth yet again with the footmen of Amras, it might be that it was a relatively even trade and that it just looks like they ceded some of the outside walls. But yeah, it's a better idea, I think, for the defenders now to move inside the city and defend from there. One of the knights of the Roqueni Maglor have fallen. The general is down. I'm not sure whose general that was, but the heavy cav is done for everybody at this point. I don't think we'll be seeing any more of that. So many red bodies on the ground means so many elven elite have fallen, but there are quite a few still remaining. Another general goes down. Ooh, things are starting to look a little bit iffy for the defenders. This time it was the Otorn Metamo of King Isengard Artorius. Yeah, the Oathsworn general has fallen in that choke point, and they might be overwhelmed soon too. Big morale penalties kicking in for the thralls of Angbad, though. The realm of Angbad is getting beaten to hell in that choke point, but the wolfmen of Tol-in-Gaurhoth are about to push all the way around the flank. In fact, they've completely surrounded the shield bearers of Hellevorn, and those spearmen will not be long for this world. Beautiful surround off. And now begins the siege. You can see the defenders are pulling all of their most important troops across the bridge, and this is the only way the realm of Angbad can cross. The only entrance into that final capture plaza. They've got a lot of work to do if they want to get through all those elites. But yeah, the Otor Matimo, however the hell you say any of these words, they're down to 11 models. The footmen of Amras have sallied forth, and honestly, I would like to see them go back inside too, because this is a lost cause at this point. I think that's what they're doing. I think they are trying to retreat. This is going to break any moment now, and when it does, the floodgates will open and it will be a slaughter during that round. That is where the majority of casualties will mount up, and that's going to become a nightmare for the defenders. So they just need to get everything back while they can, and here is the final defense. One of the Roqueni Magloro still alive, the Knights of the House of Feanor, the Otor Matimo holding back there too, the Oathsworn, the Scorpions, the Ballistas, ready to fire in, and they can get some huge shots if they have ammo left. I hope they save some ammo. Ironshod Ravager shock troops with their Berdish axes are first into melee combat, and the shield wall. It's going to be a big question now. How long can it hold? Can the range fire do enough to thin the hordes of the unwashed masses, the barbarians that are marching in now? Maiar making it into melee. Only 2 Balrogs of Morgoth remaining. And they're going to do a lot of damage here, you would think. But they've gotten beaten up. I am a servant of the secret fire, wielder the flame of honor. Dark fire will not avail you, flame of Odin. Can they hold? Can they kill him? Can they channel Narya, the ring of fire, and Glamdring, and the Foehammer? From the lowest dungeon to the highest peak, can they fight their enemy, and at long last smite their enemies, and cast down their ruins upon the mountainside? There are so many attackers still left, but they're all going to be in this choke point. Please, God, tell me they left some ammo on that ballista, on that Scorpion to fire in. And in fact, they did. Both Balrogs are dead. Maybe a mistake from J Monster to send it in so early. Might have wanted to keep them in reserve, but maybe was afraid they get sniped out quickly by the Scorpion, so get whatever value you can out of them. The arrow volleys are coming in now. AP shots from the flank, gonna do some good damage from those huntsmen of Thargaleon. Some of those javelins also firing in. So they've got some ranged firepower, but the Scorpion has not fired once. The Ballista has not shot a single time, and the enemies are very blobbed up. So either he's afraid of friendly fire, or he's out of ammo. And honestly, he did fire a lot at the armies outside the castle, and that might mean that there's nothing for it. They might not have any left, no. Oraluki's charging in. The Fire Drake getting into melee, just bowling over everything in its path. It's not a very large dragon. Certainly no Smaug, but I'd say it's leaving quite the trail of death and destruction in its wake, wouldn't you? It's just stomping right through like an elephant, severely messing up these defenders. And this is the exact kind of shock troop the attackers need if they want to push through. They're just sending everything in at this point. Everything. And they still have a few nasty trickses up their sleeve. Remember, we've not seen much from the firebomb throwers. That Ash Priest cast have not unleashed their Nafatoon, their napalm, and shared that with the world yet. So that could be a problem. And there are still some mangonels as well. The Fire Drake needs to die. And it has. Nice charge from the Greatsword unit. The elite House of Feanor shock troopers taking it down with a couple slices from their Zweihanders. And the mangonel Oh, this could get real bad. Now, it doesn't seem like they have the AoE damage that they have in Medieval 2. Certainly not those of catapults, but look at this. There's more Oathsworn, the Elite, Giscari, Chosen, Dor Caranthir. I'm not even gonna try it. Giscari is from Game of Thrones. The Chosen of Tol-in-Gaurhoth, ready to go in. They've not even been blooded yet. They've not even been into melee. Balrog is definitely in the favor of the attackers, but obviously the defenders have a much better position to fight this battle from, and they got that full surround off. Kind of a reverse Battle of the Black Gate at the end of the Third Age in Return of the King. Maganol opening up fire from the flank. Yeah, like I said, it doesn't have the AoE damage. Oh, there's the flashbang effect. Yeah, it just doesn't seem to get any kills when it does that, but it looks so deadly. So painful. Imagine if that was a normal catapult. Like, the defenders would be done in like 5 seconds. And that's probably why in the Silmarillion Total War, it's not going to function like that, because artillery is honestly OP in so many of those Third Age sieges you guys have seen on Reforged or base game Third Age. They get pretty ridiculous. So it's probably a good thing the Mangles don't do that much damage, because this game would already be over if it was actually a massive threat. But with that said, it can still fire the normal shot, fire those normal rocks in, and rack up some damage that way. It just won't be anywhere near as painful as a flaming catapult shot from Medieval 2. There's some routing from the trash troops of Angmar. They're getting really beat up. Orc Maganol in such a good position. Really good idea from the followers of Tol-in-Gaurhoth. But yeah, it's all about this defense now. The elite elves and their shock troopers just have to kill as many as they can and hope it's enough. Now, there are two main things that are going to kind of set Silmarillion Total War apart, besides the setting, obviously. It's the First Age, not the Third Age, which means more Maiar, more Valar, more magic, more craziness from that standpoint. But there's a detachment system in Silmarillion Total War that allows greater flexibility while building your army and playing on the battle map itself. So detachments are typically a half-strength unit, which can be brought at a discounted price. So some detachment units offer additional benefits, such as an armor-piercing trait, inspirational effects, that kind of thing, increased stats, attack movement, all that stuff. But essentially what the detachments do is allow you to take, say, there's an Oathsworn, oh, beautiful shot from the Maganol on the flank there. Take an Oathsworn unit, for example. There's the regular Oathsworn of Maedhros, and then there's a detachment of that that's smaller in number and more elite with some kind of special effect. So those will have different prices, which allow you to flush out your army a little bit better. That's one of the ways that you're going to be able to see more variety on the battlefield. And another way is that each of these units are going to be balanced by someone who's been doing Third Age balancing for a very long time. J-Monster really focuses on the multiplayer aspect of balancing, cares a lot about it, and so that's going to be a big factor in this game. What's also a big factor are those Ash Priests who have just set themselves up on the other side of the river and are now firing Nafatun Napalm into the unprotected flank of the footmen of Amras. I mean, this was always going to devolve into a blob in the late stages. There's only one choke point left for the defenders. They have to hold right here. It's just a fiery mushroom tip at this point. Just a huge ball at the end of a long shaft, and it's getting really, really brutal. Because if those are able to continue firing, I don't know if they're out of ammo yet. They might only have 1 or 2 volleys, but I mean, with the Chosen and the rest of these elite tier troops still coming in, it's like they need something to turn it in their favor. And the opposite of what they need is to get immolated by grenades. Especially with the way things are developing right now in terms of the blob. Like, you saw it. They got burned alive. They got burnt to cinder super quick. So it's looking like they might mercifully be out of ammo, not seeing any more volleys, and they retreated from the river. But man, that was pretty nasty. Killed a good 20 or 30 elite elves, which is not what the defenders need right now. So badass though. Look at these guys just holding on for dear life, and they have slain hundreds, thousands. 85% of the attackers are dead, and they started with 14,000, so you can do the math yourself, but more than 10,000 attackers have already been slain. And look at the mass. This is another thing that Medieval 2 has that Warhammer and other modern Total War games do not. The sheer press of bodies. The sheer number of Melkor's Chosen that are pushing forward now are literally able to cause an avalanche of orc flesh that overwhelms the elves. They're just getting pushed further and further back. Sheer mass. That's all that's required, and it's making it incredibly difficult for the footmen of Amras and the defenders of Aglon to slice and dice. The orcs smell blood in the water now. They know the awakening of the elves is sure to be followed by their swift defeat, and at this point, it feels like all hope is lost for the House of Feanor at Dor Caranthir. Dor Caranthir is in flames. Caranthir's land is engulfed in fire. The war with Melkor didn't start well for the Noldor. They were massacred on a number of occasions, and they did some kinslaying and massacring themselves of their own people. Though they gave it a hell of a good go here, killing almost 90% of the Orc and Wolfman army. It's looking like they're about to run out of steam. But with that said, there is still time for glory and for legendary sacrifices to be made. Yeah, there's a floating building in the background, by the way. It's pretty dope. You might not want to click away yet, because there is one Knight of Maglor who is still ready to do his duty and then some. And what he's about to do is legendary. Let's take a look. So, the first ranks are beginning to trickle in. They pushed past the defenders, and they're trying to ascend that last hill and take it for the forces of Melkor. But there is one brave knight, a Roqueni Maglor, ready to go into melee, and he's going to do that. And immediately, the wretches of Angbad will run, like the wusses they are. Nothing surprising there, but there's a lot more legionaries that are coming up the hill, and a lot more elite troops. We saw those chosen from the G clan of Tol-in-Gaurhoth, and they're a problem. Can a single knight kill all of those? Certainly not, right? I mean, it's now 100% of the elves and men are dead. Almost none of them routed, because they have amazing morale. But it's going to be a last stand from this crimson-clad warrior. What can he do? Can he carry the day? Probably not. But a good death is its own reward. And a downhill charge should be able to kill quite a few of these spearmen. Here we go. The last stand of the Roqueni. So they're going to break immediately. I killed 10 or so. He's styling on him. He's T-posing. He's asserting his dominance. And look at this, dude. He's just slaughtered like 20 in a single charge. Continuing to push forward. This isn't even the general, by the way. At least I don't believe it is. I think we saw the general die earlier in this battle. Hell, maybe it's the other one. There might have been two of these units. It might be the other general. I'm not actually sure. There's a bug right now where one of the mounted generals will actually just like T-pose and stand on top of the cav itself and not actually like ride the horse normally, which looks hilarious. You might have already seen it in this battle. But dude has already racked up 40 kills or something, and he's not even remotely done. We're gonna have to put it on fast forward because he's gonna be at this for a while. Just cycle charging all day long, killing everything that he can. Pretty epic. Pretty epic last stand. Not every day you get to see one, and this is something that, and I've talked about it before recently, obviously with Warhammer, about army losses. This is the kind of thing you miss out on when you have the army losses penalty kicking in. You don't get to see these last stands. You don't get to see the epicness that comes from a brave warrior saying, screw it, all my homies and friends and family have died. I'm gonna ride to wrath, ride to ruin, all over their butts, and slaughter me some hordes of orcs. Yeah, well, can we have some meats? Not getting any meat today, boy. I'm gonna slaughter you with sword and shield. There's a couple more charges coming in, and dozens more will be slain before it's all said and done. But he will get dragged through the muck eventually, and it will be the end of a glorious siege defense of Dor Caranthir. Had a lot of fun with this one, dude. And Silmarillion Total War, the campaign is not ready yet. I don't think it's even remotely finished yet. But if it's a full campaign, which I think is the game plan, it's going to be pretty epic. He's humping their corpses right now. And finally, the spears will bite deep into his horse's flank. And it was a general. It was a general. Last stand. So epic. But yeah, we're going to be seeing a campaign from it, more multiplayer, more custom scenarios. A lot of cool stuff. And take a look at those numbers, dude. 3,400, 3,700, 3,400, 3,000, 20,000 troops on the field, and lots of kills for the defenders. 3,000 for each, and they only fielded about 1,800, 2,000 themselves. You'll only be able to see the stats of Angmar and Tol-in-Gaurhoth. Actually, not even Tol-in-Gaurhoth, only the Angmar side, which is really dumb thing about medieval stat lines, or that post-battle screen, is that you can only see the stats of a faction that is the exact same faction as yours, which I think is really stupid, because I'd like to see the stats for the other armies as well. But yeah, the Balrogs and the Bulldogs got massive kills, and they did a lot of work. I think the defenders needed to use their cav a bit less aggressively and maybe goon up on J Monster in the north. If they had done that and eliminated him earlier, they might have had a chance to win this game. Maybe save some ammo on the bolt thrower as well for that final choke point battle. But well played to all players, super enjoyable, and there will be more content from Silmarillion Total War, and hopefully a campaign will be forthcoming relatively soon. We'll see.